Now, I hold the objective aspect of reality in very high regard, and I used to think that that is the norm. I've come to realize that my attitude is quite unusual, and it has to do with my personal history. The formative experience of my life was the German occupation of Hungary in 1944. Under the wise guidance of my father, we not only survived, but managed to help others in a situation full of dangers. This turned 1944 into a positive experience for me, and it gave me an appetite for confronting harsh reality. This attitude was reinforced by my involvement in the financial markets. I was a risk taker and often pushed matters to their limits, but avoided going over the brink. I learned to protect myself against unpleasant surprises by looking out for all the things that could go wrong. I chose investments where the risk-reward ratio remained attractive even under the worst assumptions. This made me emphasize the dark side of every situation. Then I became active with my foundations. Here, the fact that I could do something positive to alleviate injustice increased my willingness to recognize and confront harsh realities. A negative assessment became an invitation for positive involvement. My foundation ended up devoting much of its resources to seemingly insoluble problems like drug policy and seemingly hopeless cases like Burma, Haiti, Liberia, Sierra Leone, or the Congo. Needless to say, fighting losing battles is not the preferred choice of most foundations. My commitment to the objective aspect of reality plays the same role in my thinking as religion does in other people's. In the absence of perfect knowledge, we need beliefs. I happen to believe in harsh reality, while other people believe in God. Nevertheless, I would argue that when society ignores the objective aspect of reality, it does so at its own peril. If we try to avoid unpleasant realities by deceiving ourselves or the electorate, reality will punish us by failing to meet our expectations. Yes, reality can be manipulated, but the results of our actions are governed not by our desires, but by an external reality whose workings we cannot fully comprehend. The better we understand it, the closer the outcome will correspond to our intentions. Understanding reality is the cognitive function. That's why the cognitive function ought to take precedence and guide the manipulative function. Ignoring an objective reality that can't be fully understood leads to the postmodern fallacy. So, in recent history, mankind has adopted two fallacies about the relationship between thinking and reality: the Enlightenment fallacy and the postmodern fallacy. They are related to each other. The Enlightenment fallacy failed to recognize the prevalence of manipulation in the human sphere, and the discovery of the manipulative function led to the postmodern fallacy. Each of them recognizes one half of a complicated relationship. My conceptual framework, being based on the twin principles of fallibility and reflexivity, combines the two halves. Both fallacies have been influential, but the framework I've put forward has received little acceptance. And this goes to show how easy it is to misinterpret reality, much easier than to gain a proper understanding. The postmodern fallacy is now in the ascendant. It guided the policies of the Bush administration, and I note with alarm that it has surfaced in the Obama administration as well. I refer to a recent book by George Akerlof and Robert Schiller, Animal Spirits, that has been influential in shaping the economic policies of the Obama administration. That book extols the merits of the confidence multiplier. That is to say, the ills of the economy can be cured by talking up the financial markets. Now, that is half true. The stock market rally has allowed banks to raise capital and strengthen the economy in other ways as well. But the confidence multiplier disregards the other half of the truth, that if reality fails to conform to expectations, confidence can turn into disappointment, boom can turn to bust. I'm deeply worried that by deploying the confidence multiplier, President Obama has taken ownership of the recession, and if there is a relapse, he will be blamed for it. This discussion should help to clarify my theory of reflexivity by putting it into context of two false interpretations of reality. In particular, a point that may not have come through loud and clear needs to be emphasized, that there is a hard core of objective reality that can't be manipulated, like the inevitability of death. It's this hard core that is ignored by the postmodern fallacy. Emboldened by my recent successes, I will go so far as to claim that my conceptual framework provides the correct interpretation of reality. That's a bold claim, and at first sight, it seems to be self-contradictory. How can a correct interpretation of reality be reconciled with the principle of inherently imperfect understanding? Easy, by pointing out that reflexivity introduces an element of uncertainty, both into the participants' thinking and into the course of events. A framework that claims that the future is inherently uncertain can't be accused of perfection. Yet, it can provide important insights into reality. It can even anticipate the future within bounds, although the bounds themselves are uncertain and variable, as we have seen in the recent financial crisis. By recognizing uncertainty, my framework manages to be both self-consistent and consistent with reality. Yet, since it's less than perfect, it holds itself open to improvement. Actually, I see tremendous scope for further development. My original framework, formulated under the influence of Karl Popper, dealt only with the problems of understanding reality. But when I added the requirement that the electorate should cherish truthfulness and punish deception, I entered the realm of values. In that realm, uncertainty is even more prevalent than in the sphere of cognition. Therefore, a lot more thinking needs to be done. As we have seen, the truth is difficult to establish and often hard to bear. The line of least resistance leads in the opposite direction. To avoid unpleasant realities and reward deception as long as it remains convincing. These tendencies need to be resisted for an open society to remain open and to flourish.